here we are. We are in the Livestock Roundtable. So this is a space where livestock farmers can share about what's been going on for them, bring up questions. Pumpkin Starr was going to be our facilitator of this conversation, but Pumpkin's not feeling well today. So we're sending good vibes to Pumpkin, and also just taking this space in a little bit more of a casual place where we can create the agenda together. So I wanted to say we have 2 livestock farmers in the room. So that is Joanna and Kimberly. And so Kimberly, wanted to check in with you. Joanna was on the call a little bit earlier, and just see where you're at in terms of being able to like participate today, if this is feeling like a talky moment or if you came to more listen. And you can just take yourself off mute if you want to, Kimberly. Okay. Well, Joanna, I was wondering, just maybe in terms of like topics for discussion that maybe I could send out for resources for livestock farmers. You and I have talked about this like on farm before, and I kind of have some ideas of things that might be interesting or useful to you. Also things that you have found to be interesting and useful. So maybe what we can do is just spend a little bit of time, not like a couple minutes or so, just filling out things that interest you. Can give Kimberly, if you do, if this does help like spark your mind to chime in, or if there are any questions that come up, then please feel free to come off mute. And then what we can do is that, Kimberly, I'll wait for your cue, but I can just kind of follow up with you individually. Like I said, I'm farmer support coordinator, so I can connect you with livestock farmers in your area. I know particularly livestock farmers are really busy this time of year and getting those cuts of meat and soaps already for like if it's goat's milk soap or whatever it is, ready for the holidays. So it's a busy time. So yeah, how does that sound to you, Joanna?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Okay, we can just like fill out some things that have been on your mind. And like, I mean, I'm, like I said, or maybe I didn't even say this. Yeah, my background in farming is nothing to do with animals at all. It has to do with vegetables. And so, yeah, I'm a learner here too. And so just want to like get some ideas, follow your lead, and then circle back. So I have these slides here. I'm going to be filling them in just if some things pop up. And I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, so I can also reflect back some things that I've heard from other farmers too as you're talking, if that works for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thanks so much. What's on your mind?
As far as livestock, I guess the main thing for us when we got into it was just finding a mentor. Because you can read about it a lot, but it really helps to have someone we could ask questions to. So finding a mentor in your area was important for us. Then when we got into goats, like there's very few vets that see goats like in our area. So trying to find a vet or find what we would do, like if an animal got sick, was a big thing. And still even just like getting one to the vet if something happens, or getting a vet out here is a really big obstacle that we face.
I have a question about that, Joanna. Do you think that has to do with your location being closer to a city, or just because of like small ruminant vets?
I'm not sure. Like I know the one we have found is more Warrior area, so there may be more when you get away from Birmingham. But I also have a friend who from high school that I'm just in touch with through Facebook that's a horse vet. And I know her, I've seen her post a lot of articles on like the decline of livestock vets and how getting harder and harder to find them. So that may just be an in general thing too.
Yeah, I had a friend or someone that I met through a friend who is a livestock vet outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And yeah, it was really big news. So she moved to a small town outside there and like made the newspaper and everything like that because it had been a while since there had been a livestock vet around. So I'm realizing that we can't see my notes with our way that we're doing this sharing. Oh, and Kimberly has a question. So I wonder maybe, Sophie, if I should share my screen, if that's the way that we do it. Okay.
Okay, I see Kimberly's question about finding a mentor. There's a lot of Facebook groups of like Alabama livestock. And I just happened to connect to someone in there that was also like in a mom group I was in that I saw that she had goats, because goats was really, I mean, chickens and ducks and stuff, we had those first and they're pretty easy and self-explanatory. Goats were a little harder. So I found her through a Facebook group for goats, and she's just really been very generous with her time and information. And that, I mean, we've just been like, please let me send you some Venmo because you've been talking to me all day. Like if this was a vet, we would have been paying hundreds of dollars. But if goats are your thing, I could share her info with you. She really enjoys like helping people know more what to do with goats. So she's always told us to share her information.
That's so helpful, Joanna. I'll also, Kimberly, if you drop your contact information in the chat, I can connect you with Darren Beecham. He's actually our board VP, and he's just an amazing small ruminant specialist and does it for his many jobs, including being a goat farmer, but also a goat researcher. So I can connect you with him. And I also know, like, Joanna, I'm curious to hear some more of like nuances of how you find a mentor for your particular type of like goat animal husbandry, because I know you focus on herbal medicine and use that a lot in your goat care. And so that is atypical in terms of Alabama. So we're talking about like a small subsect of a small subsect. And so I was wondering maybe if you could talk about that a little bit.
We haven't really been able to find anyone in Alabama that focuses as much on like natural. I know there's a garlic farmer, I'm blanking on her name, but she also has goats and she does a lot with like garlic and goats for worming.
Joan.
But, yeah, Joan.
Yeah,
so
Joan.
her, and then mainly I think I got a book, it may be called The Holistic Goat Care or something like that. But just reading the book and doing the best we can with that information, and then like when it's got beyond the scope of like treating herbally is when we really like go into a mentor to see what else you can do. I think this is our third or fourth year with goats, and we were always able to just treat for parasites with herbs until this past year, and the amount of rain we had in the summer made like just parasites really bad. And no matter how often we were moving our goats with the ground staying that warm and wet, parasites were just multiplying so fast that we were like, okay, we're gonna do some traditional wormers. So I'm definitely, I'll take that balance and we'll do what we can herbally, but I'm not gonna lose a goat like and not do traditional medicines.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, because when I was visiting y'all, it was so neat for me to learn about the free grazing that you do, so that when goats are experiencing imbalance, upset, illness, that they can go and find yellow dock or whatever they're needing to be able to address their needs. And then like hearing how you complement that with really intense monitoring, so then you can know when to do that intervention of biomedical wormers.
And I'm definitely interested in learning more, and we're kind of just like researching it and starting to try it out. But like this off season, hopefully we'll be doing like more permanent paddock fencing. We using cattle panel and trying to move it weekly, like with the
Whoa.
so a lot of work. So now we have like purchased perimeter fencing, like to do the whole farm in paddocks. It's just a matter of actually getting it up. But we would also like to plant like some wormwood or like kind of deworming herbs in each paddock where the goats can eat those like as needed. And I know there's also like some other things. I'm trying to remember what all they are, but certain types of like cover crops you can plant that help lower worm load. So hopefully as we get the paddock fencing done, we'll be learning more about that and planting more.
That's really cool. I like how I mean, I know permaculture techniques are they're the core of what you do. And so using the edges and the marginal being a big focus of permaculture, and to use your perimeter fencing as an opportunity to plant medicine. That's cool. Kimberly, I'm seeing that you're wanting to start with chickens and hopefully do beef. That's great. Would love to hear more about your farm, either through the chat or if you wanted to come off mute and share just where you're located and what kind of land you're working with. If you do have land, which is a huge assumption on my part.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I am so technology challenged today. I'm recovering from a migraine, so I'm not showing my face.
No worries.
But yeah, so I am like a total beginner. I haven't started farming yet, other than just growing some vegetables in my yard and such. But my family owns 40 acres in Central Alabama around the Brent Centerville area. And it's got a lot of pasture on it. It's got a lake. It's actually really pretty property. It's kind of rolling hills. And I'm just learning about permaculture, but it seems to be set up already. Just the natural slope of the land just seems really perfect for permaculture from what I can tell. But the land has had cattle on it before. And so I'm hoping that we can kind of get back to that. I've been wanting to do this forever, but just really feeling an urgency to have some sort of food security for me and my family. But I would really love to be able to go broader and eventually learn how to do grass-fed beef and pastured chickens and eggs and that sort of thing. For the community. So I have some big dreams and goals, but I'm just like barely getting my feet wet right now.
Oh, this is so great to hear. And congratulations, Kimberly. This is a really exciting moment.
Thank you. Yes, I'm super excited.
Yeah. Yeah. There are many farmers in ASAN's network that do exactly that. And also, I mean, in talking about mentorship too, and there's lots of opportunity to get connected with people to be like advisors or consultants as well. So, I mean, just thinking about that, I know for some people as they're getting started and the land part is not a problem, but just kind of like the learning curve and like business planning part of it being like, new territory and this new exciting thing, that role of mentorship or like having a consultant can be a helpful role. So just throwing that out as like a resource that maybe I can connect you with, depending on if folks are able to do that right now. So
that would be amazing. I mean, like I would love to be able to go to someone's farm and just observe and maybe like offer some free labor just to get some experience. That would be amazing.
Cool. Yeah. I'm happy to connect you with a couple folks. Yeah, I mean, Matthew Lawrence is always down to talk. So that would be one of the names that I would send you, but also just I can ponder on it a little bit. Yeah, and so yeah, if you could stick, I don't know if you've done it already, but your contact information or DM it to me, direct message it through Zoom, then I can follow up with you.
Okay, like just my email address. Is that what you need?
Yeah, that's all I need. I mean, you could send your phone too if you want me to follow up by phone, whichever you prefer.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any questions in this beginning stage that you're thinking of? Joanna's in your area too and has been at it for a long time. So, and
Oh,
has
awesome. Yes.
chickens
Hello.
that I've seen. So,
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and just thinking about just in the planning stages of how to do, like you were talking about, perimeter fencing, and really coming up with my permaculture. I think they're called sectors or zones, or, trying to figure out, where the sun is at different times of the year and where the wind is coming from, and all of that sort of thing. And just trying to figure out, I mean, because I would love, we have a few fruit trees, but I would love to do fruit trees. I'd love to do Christmas trees. I would love, to have a garden. I'm not a great gardener, so I don't really have huge plans as far as like providing food for my community as far as a garden, but I'd like to at least provide for my family. So I'm just completely in the planning stages, trying to figure all of that out. And so I was kind of wondering if there was a permaculture expert that would do farm visits and, kind of give their expertise and input into that sort of thing.
Yeah. My husband, funny enough, permaculture designer. His company's called Walden Foodscapes. But also, we're also having a farm tour Sunday at our farm. I think it's at like 11, but I can send you the information on that, where he's going to just kind of briefly explain some of the features on our farm. But it really sounds like you have the ideal land to get started on, with like the slope and the open field. And I mean, like, you could do like swells with paddocks in between, and then trees on the other side of the swells. So you would have the cows going into the different paddocks and then pooping, bringing in chicken tractors behind that to let them kind of pick through the poop there. And then all that fertility would be caught, and like you could sink it in swells like every 30 or 40 feet. So, I mean, it sounds like you have a perfect setup for like an easy, straightforward permaculture design. But we'd be happy to show you around our farm, even if you can't make it Sunday. We're about to have a slower couple of months with the winter season, and we always love having people come out and like check out what we're doing.
Oh yeah, is your husband Trevor?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, yeah, he's the one. I connected with him on Facebook in the Central Alabama Permaculture group, and he's the one who recommended this organization, and so that's how I got connected to this event. So yeah, that's awesome. I will not be able to make it Sunday, sadly. I'm having Christmas with my son, who's leaving for California next week. So, but I would love to come see your place sometimes. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, just message either one of us and we can figure out a time for you to come and see what we have here.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, that's just so great. What are the odds?
Yeah, I know.
Well, any other things that you're thinking about, Kimberly, or also Joanna, things that are on your mind in terms of livestock questions, ponderings, etc.?
My brain is kind of a really chaotic place because I have so many things running through it. And I think my biggest issue is going to be kind of narrowing it down and focusing on what we would need to do first and coming up with a plan as far as how to implement things incrementally. I feel like chickens would be something that would be more manageable before jumping into something like beef.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I mean, depending on how fast you're trying to get started, and it seems like it might be several. I mean, I'm curious to know what your trajectory is, but Alabama Acres is closing right now, and they're looking to relocate their chickens, and also they're breaking down their coops and everything like that. And so depending on when you're trying to get started, there are, yeah, just like resources like that that are popping up. So keeping an eye out.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while for me. I'm just in the planning stages, and the land isn't actually mine yet. So
okay.
I just want to be ready for when it is.
Great. Awesome. That's great. It's good to have a lot of planning time ahead of time. So
Yeah.
and especially with permaculture, I mean, from what I know, like just being able to spend time with the land and just observe it, to be able to know, yeah, where to place those swales, where that water is moving, that sort of thing. It takes a lot of observation time and then adjustment as you observe after you put those things in. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I would love to go to a place like yours, Joanna, and see what you guys have set up, because I can read about it in books and I can even watch videos about it. But I think just actually walking a property and seeing how it's actually set up would put things in a different perspective for me.
Yeah. We definitely were excited to get started, so kind of jumped right in, but have kind of learned through trial and error that a lot of observation time is better, because we've spent a lot of years moving things around and trying to get them situated best, and are getting better at it every year. But I definitely think having a season or two to just observe the land is very helpful.
Yeah. Well, we've had it in our family for probably 25 years, and I've never observed it with the lens of permaculture. So I'm hoping to do that this year.
Nice.
Okay.
And I'll say too, chickens are an easy place to start. I mean, for us especially, they've just seemed pretty easy. When we started, we were kind of like more of like, oh, we're gonna have free range, and we realized that they don't really do well with free range, more because things will eat them than anything else. So something like chicken tractors, where you can move them around, where they're still getting like that diverse nutrition, but that they're protected, was really the way for us to go. And then they're great to just tie into a natural composting system, because they'll pick through everything and just compost, break down stuff super quick. So we have our chickens doing like a little composting run for us.
Yeah, I'm super interested in learning more about that.
Joanna, can I ask you a very specific question that has to do with my tiny backyard chicken life? What do you do with rats? Have you ever had a rat problem?
We have 3 cats and like a terrier.
Okay.
We don't have rat problems. Trevor has a rat at the vet today though, because we have pet rats. So,
yeah, the opposite of a rat problem. A rat, like I don't know, a celebration.
We did, like, I've seen one dead one at the farm, and then there was like a rat tail in the driveway that my son saw and got super upset. We had to like run inside and make sure all the indoor rats were okay. But I mean, it seems like just having cats that are outdoor and a dog that is outdoor has done for us. I don't know. There's probably things you can plant that deter them. But that's the one part where I'm kind of a softie. I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to kill a rat.
Yeah, I don't want to either. They keep burrowing. I'll change where my coop is, and it'll just be like 3 days, and then they'll burrow under. And I have hardware cloth like extending almost 2 feet out from the coop, and then like into the coop as well. There's hardware cloth going 10 inches underneath it. That I like bury too. Like I like don't bury it that far, but like just over the, you know, which deters like every other pest that I can, or every other predator that I can think of, because they won't want to burrow. But these rats are just like, it's just the wildest thing I've ever seen. And I didn't have this problem in Tennessee, and don't really know what to do. I mean, it's not like they're not harming my chickens. They're going for the feed, and I've been taking the feed in at night. But it's just not, it's gross, you know? So.
Well, I mean, I would look and see if there's like plants to plant to deter them. I don't know. They're really smart animals.
So smart.
Yeah, so smart. And I guess you're urban where it's not good to have an outdoor cat.
Yeah, there are a lot of outdoor cats in my neighborhood. Yeah, this cat, who is, you know, ever present in Zoom, is very indoor. But yeah, there are lots of those. And then there are dogs all around the neighborhood. And so I don't know, these rats are just very happy and at home. And like I said, I changed where the coop is. And yeah, it was 3 days until I saw a tunnel.
God.
That was like all the way under. Like they had to go many, many feet underground burrowing.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know that like if I had it at a bigger scale, that I could make my coop situation such that I could solve this problem. And so it's just like more of a backyard. It's definitely a backyard chicken keeper problem than a livestock like scale problem. But yeah.
How many chickens do you have, Charlotte?
I had 4, now I have 2.
Oh,
But I'm gonna get more in the new year. I just have to be around to acclimatize them to each other. That takes some time. So I can't be out of town, and I'm gonna be out of town for the holidays. So yeah. I just have a few. Because I live in the city, and so, well, on the outskirts of the city. I live kind of near Trustful. And yeah, I think an owl got one, and a dog got another.
That's tough.
Yeah, yes, it is tough. I mean, it's that like scale thing that I think, so my plan is to move somewhere more rural, and that I'll be able to be there longer. And so then I can match my needs with infrastructure, but there's just sort of that like, you know, that middle point where it's like, yeah, I can't really afford to secure them more than I really am. And I've done definitely my due diligence in it, you know. And also just like, yeah, quality of life and input for them too. Like, so finding that balance. And if I scale up, then I'll be able to make a permanent coop that would be able to have a long run and stuff like that. Right now I have a converted chicken tractor that's just big enough that they can, you know, spend a couple of days in there if I'm like gone for a weekend. But they free range in my yard that is all fenced around, but dogs can hop the like humongous fences, and owls just, I don't know what's up with owls, but they just like, they do their thing.
Yeah.
So those two I haven't like that. I don't worry as much about raccoons and possums and that sort of thing, because they're big old chickens, and they're in their coop at night, but secured. But yeah, it's that like crepuscular time. And then also when just dogs are running amok.
Yeah. The biggest we've had for sure is neighborhood dogs. Like they've far more of our chickens than anything else.
They're vicious, and it's scary too. Like I've had to intervene, but then I get scared to intervene too with some of the dogs, because I feel like many of my neighbors have them for protection, so they're not really even familiar with humans that much, you know.
We did find, and I mean, you couldn't do this on a real small scale because they're so loud, but with our last chickens and ducks, we bought like some geese and raised them together. And if they're raised together, they get along well. And the geese are like really loud and aggressive, and like hawks and owls and stuff haven't messed with the flocks if there's a goose with the flock.
Ooh, I might do that. once I get a little bit more out in the rural area, I could not fly with the geese right in my neighborhood, but with my sneaky chickens right now. But once I get farther out, that's a great idea. That's so smart. And is there like a scale limit, like, or how many did you raise together in that like clutch?
That time, I think it was 2 to 3 years ago, we probably got 30 ducks, 50 chickens, and 3 geese. And I will say 2 of the geese, like over the past 6 months, have just kind of randomly dropped dead, like with no apparent sign. So we're down to 1 goose. So we were starting to kind of think about ordering a few more chickens and geese next year.
Okay.
So I might go with like, I don't know. We need to research more and see if geese just have shorter lifespans or just tend to have issues more. I would probably go with like a 1 to 5 or maybe 1 to 6 ratio next time. And you can eat the eggs too. I mean, we eat them. I don't think they lay as prolifically as most chicken and ducks, but we eat the geese eggs too, or goose eggs.
Do they have a high fat content like ducks do? Duck eggs? And yeah.
Yeah, to me they taste more similar to like a duck egg, but I haven't researched a ton of that.
Okay. That's really helpful. Let's check in the chat. Oh, Sophie, yeah. My cat is front and center for the rat conversation for sure. A point of concern for him, and he is just watching from inside. Well, Joanna and Kimberly, it's really how you want to use the rest of this space or time. If you're feeling good about the conversation that we've had so far. Oh, Cynthia's joining. Let's see. But yeah, I just want to check in about, we can end as early as you want, but want to make sure that we have time for you to be able to discuss together.
Well, I mean, actually, I was just planning on being a fly on the wall in this forum. But yeah, I mean, I just am a sponge and want to learn as much as I can about all things farming, but specifically animals, chickens. I haven't really thought about goats, Joanna. What are you guys using the goats for?
We use them just as dairy goats. There's different kinds though. You can get ones that are good for meat and you can get crosses that are good for dairy or meat. But we have 3 acres, and we have 3 nannies and 2 billies, and we just use them for like our personal milk. And then
Gotcha.
they, add a huge amount of fertility to the farm and keep down on like the poison ivy and kudzu and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you said you guys have like 50 chickens and 30 ducks?
Yeah, that's what we had 3 years ago. So it's probably kind of decreased from there, like random stuff happening. So we tend to keep it around there, and we order new ones maybe every 2 or 3 years to kind of replace what's been picked off.
Yeah, this is a question I've had just in looking at videos of people who have chickens, that a lot of people order their chickens, but I'm wondering if you have a rooster, can you not just hatch out your own chicks, or is that just a pain in the butt?
If you have a rooster, you can. We haven't done that with chickens. We haven't had really any get so broody. There are certain breeds you can get that are more likely to spend more time brooding, like silkies, I think, spend more time brooding, and they'll sit like on a clutch of eggs that they don't even have to be silky eggs. I know a lot of people will just buy incubators and put fertilized eggs in the incubators. We've just never done that. We have a neighbor who does that. The ducks are really good about hatching out themselves. Like we just let them, they get broody pretty much all summer and will sit on nests. So our ducks have pretty much reproduced and replaced for themselves. The breeds of chickens we have are not as good as getting broody, so we've just had to buy some.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's pretty labor intensive to do that yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, you could research it. You would probably want to put, like, notice when a hen is getting broody, which they will go through certain times where they'll just naturally want to sit on the eggs. And that's the only time that they'll really hatch any. So once you notice one getting broody, you'd want to put her on like a clutch of fresh eggs, like probably away from the rest of the chickens so nobody else messes with her, and try to hatch them out that way. Like I said, we've never done that. It doesn't sound too terribly hard, but we just always have a million things going on.
Yeah.
We found to order them.
Yeah. So my farming efforts would definitely be a hobby and like on the side. So it's not like I could dedicate my full attention to it.
And Joanna, were you saying that you hash out from like a light brooder kind of thing, or just have ordered chicks?
We've just ordered chicks. Like if you had a rooster, you could just take your own eggs and put them in like one of the light incubators, but we've just never taken the time to do that.
Where do you order your chicks from?
Trevor might be the better one to ask on that. I think Meyer Hatchery was the one we had a really good experience with. I think it was mail order poultry is one of them, but you can either order like all female or you can order mixed where you're supposed to get like a little bit of both. They're not supposed to be sexing them. And we ordered like all female of ducks from mail order poultry and had like 10 ducks we ordered. And when they grew up, like 7 of those were male. And like Trevor, they wouldn't money back or do anything about it. So mail order poultry we didn't like. We ordered from Meyer years after that, and like when you're ordering like 50 or something, they might sex 1 or 2 wrong, but they definitely were not as bad as mail order poultry.
So have you just grown your flock to 50 over the years, or did you start out with that many?
We started out with maybe like 20 the first year, and then kind of went up pretty drastically from there. They were pretty easy for us to deal with, and we like being able to move them around in chicken tractors and have them till up. And then the main thing for keeping the numbers the way we do now is because they're kind of composting a good bit for us.
Gotcha. So do you guys sell the eggs?
We have from time to time. We're a family of 5 and we tend to eat like a decent amount of eggs. We have 2 friends that are going to be living on a tiny house with us that spend a lot of time with us. So they eat a bunch of them and then we just mainly give them to our family and stuff.
Awesome. That's another thing about the land that is in my family. Nobody lives there full time, and I don't know when I will be able to live there full time. There's a house on the property and a really, really old farmhouse. But I was thinking it would be so awesome if there was someone who wanted to homestead or wanted to get started in something like this, but didn't have land. I mean, we would be open to having someone put a tiny home or a trailer. There's actually another section away from the current home that's on the property that has about a 4-acre flat area where somebody could do something that they wanted to. And I just wouldn't know how to find that person, or, you know, like, I don't really want to quote advertise, but you know what I mean? Like word of mouth, or find somebody that might be interested in living on our property and helping us.
One way, Kimberly, I mean, I know you said you don't want to advertise. We do have a newsletter that goes out to our membership, which is, it's not like broadcast everywhere. It goes out through email. So it's a pretty small subsect of sustainable farmers and like farm workers and sustainable farm enthusiasts. So it's like a pretty small group of folks that are targeted to your ad more. So we could put an advertisement in our newsletter, or just there might be some ways through like Facebook and things like that. We can do a posting. That's something that is pretty typical. You'll see at the end of our newsletters, postings like that and stuff like that. And I know other farmers too have done even like a Google form, an application, that sort of thing. So you can do some screening in the beginning. Yeah, so just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. I would love to connect with anybody who's done that already.
Okay.
Community has definitely been like a long-term goal for us, especially because just small farming as a family, like how do you leave town? Like you can't leave town with livestock. So it is really advantageous to have at least, one other set of adults on the land that knows what's going on. But have a little 3 acres and kids, and to me it was really important that like it's someone I really vibe with that's going to be here. So I would say just getting involved in like some local farm groups like ASAN and like getting to know people. And one thing we talked about doing was like putting a little tiny home up for a woofer and basically advertising, hey, you could come here for a month and we could deal with anybody for a month. And then if we really vibe with someone, we could offer them a more permanent position.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Just getting these notes down. All right. Oh, and I wanted to say, Cynthia, I recorded what you had put in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing that about the problem with hatching naturally. The hens want to hide their nests, and you could have different hatching and finishing days depending on free range or caged birds. Thanks for that. And like Sophie said, Cynthia, we're having a conversation of that's kind of just matching the needs of those who are here today. And so we'll follow the momentum until it leads us to our end. So yeah, just checking in to see what other topics we want to discuss, how we want to use our time. Maybe what's on your mind, Cynthia, what brought you here today? And Cynthia, I'm just reading out what you said. Thank you so much. Depending on the size of your operations, there is money available to help set up housing situation. Can't remember the grant or the cost share or loan in exchange for work or room and board, a small monetary payment with workers able to be hired out by other local farmers per landowner's work schedule. And yeah, you're here to share, learn, and grow your knowledge base. Awesome. Cool.
Where was that information, Charlotte?
The information I just read out.
Yes.
Cynthia put that in the chat, so that comes from Cynthia. I'm wondering, Cynthia, if you could connect us with maybe a link or something like that, if you remember the name of the program, or you can just email me after and then I can relay it. Thanks, Cynthia. I appreciate that. She's gonna look for the link.
Okay, I can't find the chat.
Oh,
oh wait,
there's a speech bubble on the bottom of the screen. And if you click on that speech bubble in this like gray bar.
Okay, mine's a little bit different. I have to click on the 3 dots. And then it
Yeah.
brings up chat. Okay, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to put my email address in, so I'm going to do that now.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll record that.
Okay.
Thanks, Kimberly. And thanks for talking. I know you came to be a fly on the wall. Thank you for
Yeah, I
doing
wasn't
that.
planning on talking, but no, this has been really great. I mean, it's actually given me a really an excitement for all the resources that are actually out there to help with the things that I want to do, you know, and just what you were saying about resources for finding labor. And did you even mention there was a grant or something that could help with housing, or I don't know. I just feel like there's so much out there that I need to learn that that could really be helpful. So yeah, thank you, Cynthia.
Awesome. Yeah, and I stuck what Cynthia said in these slides, and I'll send out these slides to the three of y'all. I could do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's Kimberly's number. I'll also, whatever contact information y'all give me, I'm sticking in the notes here on the slide, and I'll compile it and send it your way. Well, great. We are at an hour. How are we feeling, y'all? Should we close out? Are there more questions?
This has been fantastic.
Great. I think so too. It was a delight. I'm gonna stop with the share. And then I'll just take us out. Want to encourage y'all to become members if you're not members of ASAN already. We're currently building up our statewide network of small sustainable farmers and eaters. And we're trying to make systems change. There's been this shift in ASAN recently towards organizing work. And next year, we're going to be exploring what that means to take on more systemic issues that are facing farmers across our state in order to build the just and resilient food system that we all deserve, and that our children's children deserve, and our friends' children's children deserve. So yeah, I want to encourage you to become a member. That's going to be dropped in the chat. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, this one in particular is very much related to the work that I do in particular at ASAN as farmer support coordinator. So please feel free. I'm going to put my my name and my email in the chat. I'm Charlotte, and I'll stick that in there too. So please do not be a stranger. Reach out. Yeah, well, thank you all so very much for joining. I hope you have a good rest of your day.